28 to hit.
28 will hit.
14 damage.
Okay, and it is bloodied. Is Connor moving or staying put?
He's out of move speed, so he's good.
Good there.
Yeah.
It's going to bring us to Numac.
Numac is going to take some steps back and dodge.
Okay, then that will bring us to... Oh, my dead toad. That's going to bring us to Lucius.
I'm going to move out to here. Actually, can I get a line of sight on this guy from there?
It doesn't look like you... Draw me a line.
Yeah.
It doesn't go through that wall.
Okay, then strike that. I can move out. I can move out there.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 more Eldritch Blasts. Does a 14 hit?
No.
How about a 27?
That'll hit.
11 points force damage.
Okay.
Push 10 feet.
I will let you do the pushing.
Bloop. And one more shot for the road. 21 to hit.
That'll hit.
For 8 points force damage. Push 10 feet.
Okay. And is Lucius moving or staying put?
I have moved all I can this turn.
Alex, are you going to finish it off here?
Well, let's find out. Let's see. So we'll take a shot. Hit an armor class of 23.
That does hit.
For 7 magical piercing damage. Second shot. It's an armor class of 31. For 16 magical piercing damage.
And that's enough with that second shot. As the thing's blasted back across the tower by Eldritch Blasts. And it's still reeling from those. You just step up, put 2 shots right into its chest, and the thing collapses to the ground and stops moving.
Everyone okay?
Lucius rubs his ears.
I mean, you're underwater, so you're not talking anyway. Unless you're using message or sending or something.
Really? I can't just yell underwater if I can breathe water?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can converse underwater. We've done this before.
Connor can.
You guys had held up. Well, yeah, Connor's a weirdo. What's next?
Alex will look expectantly at his group to figure out if everyone's okay.
Gus
Basically,
looks,
kind of give you the raise your hand if you need healing look.
Gus looks slightly eaten, and then Gus and Numac's ears have both exploded.
Ooh. Alex will motion to move forward. Let's just get a good look at what's down here other than that.
Okay. So you can continue around the outside of the tower, or there's the center chamber.
Swim into the middle of the southern chamber.
Looking into the center chamber, this is the one where the hole above opens down. And along both the north and the south walls are these just massive clutches of tennis ball-sized frog eggs.
Nope.
Looking all the way to the back wall, you see this stone altar upon which is laid a mostly eaten gnomish corpse.
Alex, you see Gus like mouth the words "nope," and he just starts walking up and he starts crushing the eggs with his hand.
No, Alex is gonna come over here and he's gonna reach into his bag and pull out a vial of acid, swim back about 10 feet, and throw it into the middle of the egg so it shatters against the wall.
Okay. I mean, if you guys are going to destroy the eggs, you're going to be down here for probably, a fair amount of time doing it.
Yeah.
Because they're, 2 massive clutches, one on the north wall, one on the south wall. Are you guys spending some time doing that?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Just picture that one room in Mega Man 3. Let me know if I get a let me know if I get a big energy pellet, please.
You do not.
What
And
about
I
a
mean,
free guy?
the room is just awful as it's filled with gore. After a few moments, I mean, you're smashing the eggs and the slimy bits are he's just kind of spreading out along the floor and listing up into the water. It's a grisly work, but it's done after about 20 minutes.
So Alex is going to swim over to here.
Okay.
Do what he can to take the remains of the remains and kind of bind them to Steely and have Steely just bring them up and deposit them above the water line. He'll deal with that later.
So you're binding up the dead gnome?
Yeah, and just having Steely like bring him up and put him with the other bodies and come back down.
Okay.
And at that point, Alex motions to head down and keep investigating.
Pneumatic is still at 6 hit points. Just,
Uh,
oh, yeah.
Gus points at Numac and makes an up gesture. Like he's like shaking his head no at Numac. I don't think Numac should come.
Sounds good to me.
If you're going, Numac is going. Unless you order him not to, and you can't because he's deaf.
Oh no! Oh no! Being deaf is the best thing for Numac.
Send Steely to the next stairwell.
Okay. Yeah, it winds down as the stairs are wont to do and opens up over here.
So just so everybody knows, I've got about 40% of my hit points.
I've got one first level spell slot left and a bunch of arcane jolts.
I would just
Would you?
say
Would you?
Yeah.
Would you like a cure wounds?
sure. I'll take a cure wounds.
All right. I'll give you 2 cure wounds at first level. How does that sound? Do you like
Sure.
that?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Connor's just rubbing Gus.
I don't know what I'm full of voices today, and I don't know why. It's
He's just
weird as
rubbing
shit.
Gus, making like he's talking to an animal. He's like, "You like that, don't you?" Yes. Gus can't hear any of it, but he's still creeped out by the look on Connor's face.
You do with telepathy, though. That's even worse.
15 hit points.
How far away are we getting? Are we from getting a Paul Lind?
I don't know. You kind of requested it now, so it's going to be in my mind.
Well, it's not spontaneous anymore, but it might be subconscious now.
Fighting the froggy myth.
Coming down the stairs. And this is the most damaged floor you've seen in the tower by far. To the point where you see the foundation is clearly cracked and broken, even when you just get to the base of the stairs. So even if it wasn't underwater, the floor of this section of the tower would be difficult terrain just because there's so many protrusions and things jutting up from below, which is alarming to say the least. And again, you've got this outer hall of the tower, and you've got this triangular inner room. And looking at it, at one point, this would have been a storeroom, maybe a library. You do see an overturned shelf and lots of just completely destroyed books laying around. And a very strange-looking rug strewn on the floor, with the bookshelves and things kind of pulled down on top of it. The pattern on the rug is not decipherable from your position because there's so much laying on top of it, but it's not just a solid color, and it's not just a repeating pattern like you would expect on an ornate rug.
Gus just goes ahead and steps into the room,
Okay.
ready to fight another giant frog monster.
So you've got the outer hall going around one side, and you've got the inner hallway going around the other side, and then you can see into this triangular room.
Alex is going to motion for other people to stop moving, and since Alex can swim and not disturb the potentially crumbling underside, he'll go ahead.
Go ahead and what?
Swim to here.
Okay.
5 feet off the floor.
So, in this room, I mean, you got these overturned bookshelves and this strange-looking rug underneath. Definitely a library at one point.
I'm going to investigate the... Oh. You said the rug is overturned?
You'd have to move stuff around in this room in order to examine the rug more closely.
Okay. Give everybody the all clear. Swim around over here.
Okay.
What do you
And
want?
let Steely go in front of you, Gus.
Alex,
Just in terms of not stepping on something that collapses.
make me a Constitution saving throw as you
got it.
approach this doorway.
That's a 10 that can become a 15.
A 10 that can become a 15.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take 5 points of acid damage. Unless you turn into a 15, then you can cut it in half.
Ooh, and that actually snipes my alter self.
You still have the water breathing, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Alex no longer has gills and fins and sinks down to the floor.
So as you come up to the second doorway up here, looking around, and you're breathing through these gills on your neck. I mean, you were a moment ago. And for a moment, they just burn terribly. You guys don't have a light source, do you? You're just relying on dark vision?
Yeah, I think everybody here was using dark vision.
Yeah.
And after the burning sensation, Alex, you realize that the water in this area is slightly cloudier than the rest of the tower, which isn't saying much because it was already a disaster. But once you could see into this room, just kind of poking your head in, and Alex is the only one that could be affected by this because he was the only one who was breathing. You can see the remains of a fairly well-stocked alchemy lab that has been thoroughly destroyed. So all of these caustics and acids and like potions and things that were in decanters or vials along the wall, many of them had been broken and shattered, and you can't imagine the acrid reactions that must have taken place here over the course of however many days. But the walls and floor and all of the shelving in this room are thoroughly destroyed. Going into this room probably would not be safe. I mean, you can even feel it in your nose and your eyes as you come back to gnomish form.
Alex will walk back along and just sort of shake his head. Pat one of the large vials on his alchemy kit on his belt and point towards this direction.
As you looked up to the north from that position, most of the north section of the tower had been completely dilapidated and has collapsed downward.
And let's send Steely through here.
So you come up the other side of the tower and look into the third of 4 chambers. At one point, this looks like it might have been a tinker's workshop, but again, very thoroughly destroyed. And you can see the poking out from part of the rubble, one of those large frog legs, one of the smooth ones.
Like it was crushed and killed, or like it's sleeping in a nest?
Well, if it's alive, it's undead for sure, because there's a lot
crushed and killed. Got it.
As for crushed, you're not sure. It's laying underneath some rubble, but these were relatively large monsters that you were just fighting.
Sure. Alex will order Scrappy up to here and look a bit himself.
And as Scrappy comes around the north side of the tower, for all intents and purposes, ends as the foundation is completely crumbled away here. What's interesting is the damage looks like it came up from below rather than it looks like something occurred here which caused damage to the foundation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I pull out a continual flame coin, do I think that would reveal the alchemical mixture in the water before I walk into it? The light?
Yes, you'd be able to see discoloration, and you'd be able to see cloudiness a lot easier.
So Alex will tuck a glowing coin into his hat and move around to investigate this, assuming there's no acid.
So none of the water in this area is clear, but the western edge of the tower over here, looking in that direction, you can see some clear discoloration. This sickly orange tinge to the water. As you come around to the north, there's no indication of what this chamber might have been at one point, because the entire chamber has been completely destroyed to the point where a great hole has opened in the floor underneath the rubble in the back of the room, and the water is flowing down and through it.
Alex will walk about 5 feet from the edge, infuse stone coin with light, and drop it down and see how far he can see it down.
And it just disappears through one of the holes. There is a slight current as you come up into the room. And so yeah, you take this kind of coin, you kind of slide it along the floor into the rubble, and it disappears into a crack, and for a moment, a vast space is revealed on the other side. And then as the coin falls away, you see only darkness again.
Is there enough space in these holes for the frogs to have come up through them?
Looking at the amount of broken stone and rubble in this room, it looks like at one point there was, but further damage to the tower has caused further collapse. So if you removed some of this rubble, you would not be surprised to see a large, somewhat frog-shaped hole.
The only other thing Alex wants to do is see if there's anything salvageable from either of these two rooms.
No.
You need me to? Gus is going to point at the bookshelf that's on top of the rug and add and like make a lifting motion. And do you want me to lift it?
Alex, give me an investigation check, and Gus,
Yep.
give me an athletics check. Gus, you can make this check at advantage because you're underwater.
Okay. That's a 6 and a natural 20. So that is, let's see. So that's 20 plus. So that's does a 30 allow me to lift this bookshelf?
Yes, easily. You can move the books out of the way and slide the bookshelf aside. And the rug underneath is partially destroyed. Again, it looks like some great force hit the foundation of the tower from below. So there are places where the floor has broken up through the rug, tearing it. But looking at the design on it, Gus, you're trained in Arcana?
Yes.
So looking at it, it is clearly an arcane sigil of some kind, done for some sort of ritual. You can see the arcane runes on it. And you're not sure if it could function anymore because it's been disrupted and destroyed, but it's definitely not just there for aesthetics. Alex, how'd you do on your roll?
13.
13. So investigating this...
Oh, you know what? I'm going to 17.
A 17?
Yeah.
Just decide to use the bigger number?
Yeah.
You're supposed to always pick the biggest number.
Well, I can only do that 5 times, so.
Also, there's no bigger number than 17. This is as big as numbers get. Investigating this room, you move a couple pieces of the rubble aside, and there's another one of the smaller, smoother frog monsters, and it definitely wasn't crushed to death. In fact, as you do, you remove some of the rubble, and you see wounds, great gashes across its chest that don't look like they were inflicted by gnomish weapons. And investigating the room further, you also turn up a couple of very large, badly bloodied saw blades. And looking around the room for a few more moments, you realize this thing died fighting some kind of steel mechanized defender in this room.
Right.
Parts of which are now strewn around. So you've uncovered the magical library and the alchemist workshop and the tinker's workshop, but all three are in complete destruction.
Do you want to try and bring that carpet upstairs and see if we can repair it, Gus?
Yeah, Gus is going to roll the carpet up and throw it over his shoulder.
Well, Gus can't hear you when you say that.
Well, Gus was just gonna do that regardless.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of giving him a look. He's looking at that carpet.
So you roll up the carpet, and so there is an opening underneath the rubble in this room that opens down into some kind of cavity.
Alex points up.
Yep.
So you're taking the rug with you, and you're taking the dead gnome that you found in the altar room.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring the dead gnome up to the first floor to the entranceway, and I'll talk to the ones upstairs to see what we should do with the rest of the bodies.
Okay. So go back upstairs and report that you've exterminated the monsters down below. And by this point, you've spent a few straight minutes without hearing one of those croaking blasts.
What? Or I didn't hear you.
Connor says telepathically to Gus if he would like to use one of his lesser restoration scrolls to restore his hearing.
Gus looks at you and makes he gives you a very loud, because he can't hear his own voice, like sarcastic, nah, you think? It's very loud. Gus is a little grumpy. He got eaten.
Only a little bit eaten.
He was chewed on today.
Do frogs even have teeth?
These ones do, because their bite does 3d10 damage.
I was chewed on
What is
today.
bludgeoning or slashing?
Piercing.
Okay, yeah,
They definitely have teeth. I would like to, because this is an entry from the Tome of Beasts, my favorite book.
Oh.
And there's a whole section on the mating rituals of these frog monsters, which I enjoy greatly.
As you do.
It says, male frog monsters travel to a female's lair and demonstrate their prowess by unleashing their most powerful bellows. Villages 10 miles away from the lair often hear these howls for a week and pray that the creatures don't attack. It points out that they can live up to 40 years, but they're so loud that they tend to be hunted long before then.
Connor will use one of his scrolls of lesser restoration on Gus.
Do you use another one on Numac?
We can get Numac in the morning.
Okay.
I mean, we can wait in the morning. Well, no.
I mean, the thing is, I can't. It'll take me time to replace scrolls without components down here. I'd prefer to save the scroll in case we need to remove deafness in the middle of combat or something. But
Yeah, why don't you just wait and we can just do lesser restoration in the morning on Gus as well.
Okay.
Save the scroll. Listen, we won't
because
be
you won't be.
we won't be proper RPG heroes unless we take all of our resources into the final battle and then not use them.
Let's save our mega elixirs until after the lava score.
I don't know, man. I used all of my X potions and elixirs when I fought Chaos the other day. I needed every single one. When you get back to the top floor, you're told that the lady had awoken briefly, long enough to take her good berry, and her fever has begun to break. But when you get back up, she has once again fallen asleep.
I'll tell them. What did we find? 3 or 4 gnome bodies here, total.
There were 2 downstairs in the room that they had barricaded themselves into.
Mm-hmm.
These are men that had been injured while barricading the room. Before.
There were ones in the beds where I shot the heads off the raccoons.
Correct.
There were 2 of those? So 5 total?
4, actually.
4 total.
Those would have been the lady's family.
Oh.
Those were not men at
So,
arms.
okay. Yeah, Alex will ask if we want to make preparations to bury them. He'll also mention that he had buried the men-at-arms that they found at the temple at sea.
The cemetery on the island is now submerged.
Yeah.
There was a family plot nearby where members of the family or members of the garrison who didn't have homes to send their bones back to would have been interred in, but it's completely submerged now.
So, what do they have opinions on what we should do with these bodies, or?
I'll wait until the lady awakens
Okay.
and hear her instructions.
Yeah, Alex will just gather them together on the first floor as respectfully as possible in some place, hopefully not super accessible to monsters eating them. And then, how far is the ship from where we are?
You guys had to come aboard in a rowboat because there was no safe mooring for the ship to get very close.
Mm-hmm.
If there were no ocean here and you went way down the hill from the holdfast to where the river came by, you'd find a mooring there. But that's obviously where you got off.
Is he surfaced right now, or does he have the boat underwater? I guess is my question.
I'll say you have a way to signal the ship if you need to.
Okay, I mean I can just fly back is the thing.
Yeah, you can signal the ship.
My opinion is to fly back, have them bring more supplies, and we should rest up here after that.
Okay.
Because we don't want to move the lady until the morning.
The captain of the Wittershins won't send any of his men aboard the island. And in fact, with all haste, his recommendation is any survivors be brought aboard the boat.
Probably in the morning. They're not in a condition that they can rest until the medicines have taken place.
Okay.
Can you get me some provisions for them?
Yes, he can send you back with some provisions.
All right.
From their stores.
Yeah, we should be back after, I don't know, maybe 8 or 12 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys can go ahead and take the benefits of a long rest, if you so choose.
Oh, I have 12 surges now.
And notably, for the first time in probably many days, men-at-arms and the lady also get the benefits of their long rests.
Do you want to do one lesser restoration each? Connor? In the morning?
So I don't have the spell. I just
Alright,
only
I'll
have the
do two.
scrolls.
Wait, wait, so is there a point to you having the scroll then?
I can use it. I just don't have the
Yeah,
spell.
it's that he can
Oh,
actually
Rangers
cast it.
don't have access to all their spells. They have to learn spells. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Thought they were like clerics, but no, they're not a good class.
They're so dumb. They're so dumb. I love them.
How does it feel to be playing the worst class?
Oh, they're so dumb. I love it.
It's like the Final Fantasy II of classes.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
So I gotta prep a lesser resto this morning.
So, here's
Off
the-
spell slots.
Like, you hear people talk about how bad Rangers are, but they talk about how bad, like, all kinds of stuff is. Like, for a long time, I think people were like, Eldritch Knight's bad, but, like, I think the opinion has swung back the other way on that. But, like, Eldritch Knight's bad, and this is bad, and that is bad, but, like, Ranger really is just that bad compared to everything else.
It's it's thematically appropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think they have the problem that rogues have, that their paths in the PHP aren't great, and I think on top of that, the base class is just a little bit undercooked. Like, I think if you take one of the like why don't Rangers just work like clerics or druids and prepare any spells from their list every morning? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
'Cause I don't think Paladins work that way either.
Yeah,
So Paladins, it makes sense because Paladins are like, they should be more like the Rangers thing is versatility, whereas the Paladin is more of a specialist the way I see it.
the Rangers thing is not bathing.
What are you talking about? He's been in water this whole time.
Ugh.
That's,
Yeah, I
that's
feel like
basically
I
bathing.
I feel like I described the state of this water pretty well.
Yeah, that's basically bathing. Connor's clean. Let's keep moving.
After a few hours, the lady does awaken, and introductions are made. The first thing you learn about her is even in this weakened state, where she's like recovering from this injury that they didn't have enough resources to heal properly, and had been completely tapped on her spells, and all of her workshops have been completely destroyed when the tower was broken. But she stubbornly refuses to leave this post. Her family has a duty to hold this tower, even in the face of Armageddon, which in the Underdark is not that outlandish of a responsibility to claim. You kind of bring her up to speed on just the nature of things, like her holdfast is now on a tiny island in the middle of nowhere, and the entire valley she was supposed to be protecting or helping to protect is completely flooded out.
If she's not gonna leave, what kind of spellcaster is she? Is she an artificer or a wizard?
She's a wizard.
Okay.
But over the course of the conversation with her and the confusion during the battle, her spell focus was a cane that had been lost. Presumably, one of the monsters that had attacked the tower made off with it. And her entire workshop has been destroyed. So her spellcasting ability is going to be extremely limited.
She have her spell book.
She has a spell book because she had several. Some of them were down in the library below, which are almost certainly destroyed. So she has limited access to her spells, and she doesn't have components to cast a lot of them.
I mean, I might even have an extra focus. If not, I can easily make one. Let me see here.
I feel like a spell focus has to be kind of a personal thing, though. Like you can't just.
Okay.
It's not like
Sure.
Harry. Is it Harry Potter rules? You just pass your wand around and.
I was gonna give her the wand that Steely's got.
Did that bother anybody else? In like for 7 books, they're like, "Oh, your wand is your personal thing in Harry Potter. Like it's your wand that you can use." In the last book, they're just like, "Anybody can use anybody's wand. It's fine."
So that's what bothers you in Harry Potter, not the whole. There was a boy who lived under the stairs and didn't get enough to eat.
I like
That's
that. Like that part's charming.
It's child abuse.
Well, yeah, but like his.
Not even charming child, like
But-
rakish child abuse. It's just outright awful child abuse.
The heroes of the books aren't like Harry Potter's family.
Oh wait, no. I'm not gonna cast Lesser Restorations. I'm gonna put Lesser Restorations into this wand and use it twice.
There you go. Lesser Restoration
and
will reverse the deafness, yes.
Connor, here you have a wand with 8 shots of Lesser Restoration that anyone can use
Hey.
till tomorrow morning.
Honor now has the spell gullet.
Yep.
It's just a tad. The thing that you don't that's bad about this wand, Connor, is you have to wear it on your chin.
One of the things the lady wants to do as she comes to, and she's still like partially out of it. She seems relatively cognizant, but she does drift and meander with her thoughts some. She's a devout follower of the goddess Sensine, and there's a shrine to Sensine in the tower, like the family shrine on one of the lower floors. And she believes that you all were sent by Sensine to offer them rescue, which is why on the Shrine Island nearby, the various powers unlocked and you were able to make use of them. And it takes a moment for it to settle in that this shrine room in her tower, their little altar or chapel room, is completely submerged underwater and the foundation of the tower is badly damaged.
Yeah, it's not likely to be safe to stay here for the long term because who knows when this tower is going to collapse.
She tells you that if it's the fate of this tower to collapse, then it will collapse around her.
No.
Is there anything we can do to?
She's taken an oath of duty.
No, I mean, is there
Technically,
anything?
her family has taken an oath of duty, and she's the current matriarch of the family.
No.
Wouldn't it make more sense to get on the Widdershins and go some other place where you can get the resources to come back here and repair the damage that's been done?
She says it makes a lot of sense to send the Widdershin to get those provisions and bring them back. Yes, along with people to make the repairs happen.
Gus puts his hand like she's not like Gus is actually like I respect her decision to do this. So
I don't.
I disagree with it,
I
but I
can-
understand your reasoning, and I will respect that.
Is there anything we can do to give you the capability to defend yourself a little better before we move on with whatever we do?
To that, she would defer to you. Whatever you think you would need to do. Because there still is an opening beneath the foundation of the tower that opens into some kind of cavity in the mountain. And there are threats in the waters around you that you've faced a couple times yourselves. She tells you that the stones of the tower do have some magical protection against psionic resonance. And she expects that any of like the local like hostile armies, drow families and things that would come into the valley for slaving purposes, are having the same difficulties as everybody else. They would also be flooded out.
So here's the problem I see, guys. We can go down there and jump in that hole, but we also are here. Like, is that getting sidetracked?
Yeah, I
Or
think so.
is that is that getting sidetracked? Or
I mean,
is
look, I
is
think
it-
I think the moral of the story here is we just got to get the captain to take the Widdershins into the center of whatever's going on. Right?
what if this is what's going on?
What do you tell the lady as far as what's going on?
I mean, if she asks questions, I don't mind answering them.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we'll just
we're
give her an
beyond
offer.
keeping information at this point. So
I mean, we're here to help. Keeping secrets does not help, no matter what Lucius says.
So, from her perspective, she has a little more information than the captain does, because she does exist in a military capacity. At one point, there were several of these holdfasts built along the entrance into the river valley, guarding both the river entrance and other passages along the roads. Hers was built on the tallest of the surrounding hills, which is why it's the only one that's not submerged now. But she tells you that some number of years ago, like close on 20 years maybe, that a powerful necromancer had taken up residence in one of the deep temples, deep below the river where you sit now, that had been causing some problems. The reason this particular necromancer was so powerful is because he had managed to create alliances between warring factions of drow and minotaurs that until then had never cooperated. And in uniting these disparate forces had made pretty much the biggest threat on the valley in living memory. Within the past 1 year, and very, very recently, just before the flooding started, the necromancer's reach became much, much more powerful. And rumors are, from captives that were taken from his drow, are that he's come into possession of a godly artifact. The exact nature of which she doesn't know. But now he's using this artifact to consolidate his power. And when she finally names him, you realize you've heard this name before. Because he calls himself Eriadul.
That was one of the former kings, right?
Yes.
That was the one before Catspan?
And he died under mysterious circumstances.
Right. Oh, I'm thinking Catspan is not the mastermind here,
No.
guys.
Which
Thinking he-
Caspin? We've got at least 4 in the bag.
Yeah, I think he might. I think they might be a victim.
Every time you look in the bag, there's a few more.
So what
Academic
with all the
question. What happens
So
if
what
you
with all the-
resurrect? Go ahead.
no, go for it.
I was gonna say, what happens if you academic question? What happens if you resurrect? You lay the bodies out, and then you resurrect each one. Do you get multiple? Is it like mitosis?
I feel like this is
Just
what
multiple-
happens when you step into a Star Trek teleporter and it like messes up and now there's 2 of you.
Yeah, but in D&D, souls are an actual thing that exists, so there won't be a soul to return to the second resurrection target.
So each
Yeah.
of them has half of the soul.
So with all the necromancy going around, should we be burning these bodies? Or doing something else about that?
Her decision on the bodies is that yes, they should be burned and sent away from the tower on a boat, on a skiff or something. Just they have no way to bury them at the moment. This
Yeah.
seems like the most prudent measure.
So we have not one but two dead kings coming back to menace the city of Dunfos.
So yeah, the story goes that there used to be a great temple to the goddess Sensine deep below the river valley in one of the lower levels of the Underdark. And Eriadul has taken that as his seat for the past 20 years or so. He has consolidated power and created alliances that were thought to be impossible between warring clans of Drow and Minotaurs. And then very recently, just before the flooding started, captives that they took started revealing rumors that Eriadul's come into possession of a godly artifact.
What are the chances you guys think? Because the only godly artifact that I know of is that trident. I swear to God, if he has that trident,
Well, there's the hand.
we still have that.
That'd be
Yeah, but what do we do?
don't.
Wait,
We used that hand to craft the collar that we put on that imp, and it got flushed down here.
Yeah, but this happened before the flooding.
I guess
Not
my
fine.
actual thought was there might be another. That was a left hand or a right hand. There might be a right hand or a left hand. We only got one of the two hands.
My understanding was that we didn't use the hand; we just used part of it. But
He used
yeah,
part of one of the fingernails and ground it up
Yeah.
into powder.
Okay.
so we still have the hand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't worry, Connor. We still have the obviously evil hand.
So
Yeah, I
does-
thought we had used all of the magic within it to create this thing.
No, you used a fraction of the magic within it.
Oh, okay.
Does she have any sort of accurate maps or something that the Wittershins might be able to travel down through tunnels that might now be flooded to find this Eriadul's seat of power so we can go smash him?
No maps as such, no. She could direct you to several paths that would now be submerged. But the problem is, like, new ones were uncovered all the times. She tells you that when you get that deep in the Underdark, that Drow kingdoms would often use purple worms to bore tunnels through rock and stone in order to create new tunnels to very swiftly attack neighboring enemies.
Alexander, you're also neglecting the. I was going to say something, and now my brain just flushed it out. Hi, Bandit.
The Aboleths.
It's gone. I can't. I'm sorry.
Aboleths would be a very frequent occurrence now that everything's flooded, she surmises.
Oh,
I mean, I
yeah,
guess-
now I remember what it is. Also, Alexander, you're neglecting that this is contingent on our ability to convince Captain of the Wittershins to take on this contract.
I mean, I think I'll worry about that after we figure out what we want to do, but he's literally the only way to do anything down here that I'm aware of. So here's my thought. We've kind of triangulated where we think the psionic resonance might be to some degree, and we've also got the descent from here to where this necromancer might have lived. So I feel like we have two choices. And it's just us making a decision and then convincing the captain.
Do you think the hole in the basement might lead down there?
You're not going to get a whole ship down that hole.
I mean, we're not going to get a whole ship into a temple.
Yeah. I mean, give whatever tore this place up enough time and we will.
Maybe if we cast Tiny.
Large reduce.
I could put an enlarged reduce in the wand.
The hole in the base of the tower, if you were to clear the rubble away, they'd be at least big enough to fit one of those giant frogs in.
Yeah, the chances of I'm thinking, I don't know. It sounds like to me that the frogs are just something that, unless they were sent here. I mean, this place was obviously attacked.
Yeah, there was
That
an
doesn't.
fully stocked alchemy lab and a wizard's library. This is just a nice target of opportunity. You
Yeah,
can suddenly swim up to it.
I think I think the frogs were part of the attack. So it is reasonable to say that they came up. You know, wherever that tunnel goes might lead to, wherever they're staging from, at least.
So I guess my concern is I don't think I'm prepared, at least not without a lot of work, to do a overland underwater travel that far. I feel like taking a ship is just much more practical. I have no idea how far we're going.
Okay.
Agreed.
I will say this, Alex. Next time we build a boat,
Yeah.
you should make it submersible.
Could compress or contract air for variable ballast. That's not a bad idea. Alex is lost in his own mind after that thought.
Fair enough.
So,
I mean, the problem is that I don't think the captain of the Widdershins will take us anywhere. He's already declared that he is turning around.
yeah, I'm in agreement. It's going to be a tall ask, and so we'd have to make it worth his while somehow, and I don't know how that would be possible.
And he also needs to turn back and bring supplies for the lady here. And
They have a ton of stuff on the ship already. I mean, could the lady here just order him to go with us?
He's not under his command, near as I can tell.
She could request that he does, but the captain's a very proud man because his family used to rule one of the Gnomish kingdoms that was basically pushed out of their lands and territories. That's why he calls himself a king in exile. And he probably wouldn't make a decision that would put his vessel or his men in extremely grave danger.
And there's no way we are convincing her to leave this tower, huh?
She's sworn an oath.
So I'm assuming that the only way forward to us would be to wherever, by way of the way those large frog beasts were sent in here, going back the other direction.
looks like all paths are pointing us to the hole.
Way down in the hole.
So broadly speaking, you have three options. The first would be, like Alex says, you kind of managed to pinpoint the center of the location of psychic resonance. The second option is she can direct you to tunnels that had been used in the past where these captives were taken, where she's learned this recent information about how Iriadul has this powerful artifact. And the third would be go through the hole in the foundation of this tower. So you kind of have three bad options.
Let's go to the tunnels. That's my vote.
I personally think that we should go to the psionic area first and destroy whatever's doing that, because last time we had a message from anyone back home, it sounded like shit was still really bad up there, and maybe destroying that will stop it.
I am okay with at least attempting to convince the crew of the Widdershins to do that. I mean, asking is free, and the worst thing they can say is no. So
yeah, my vote's for the psychic disturbance.
And then we can maybe go to a tunnel, because hopping in that hole seems expedient, but at the same time, we don't know how long it's going to take to like how far are we physically from the temple, according to the lady here.
Deep under the ground.
We don't.
So a fair distance.
So I think it's safe to say we're not going to make the same mistake twice here.
What?
We're not just going to jump into a hole with no plan.
We had a plan last time. It was just a bad one.
So we're going to try to convince the captain to take you back, because last time you were sailing in that direction,
And he turned around,
he decided to turn around. So what are you going to do to convince him?
Get
Or
some
you can go on your own.
Well, his current mission right now is to supply and fortify this tower for what's her butt, right?
Technically, but I mean, there's really nowhere. First, he has to find somewhere to get the supplies.
Right.
This is the furthest east that he's sailed since he picked you guys up. And he thought he was going to find this holdfast in good standing, if nothing else. And like it's supposed to be the other way around. The holdfast was supposed to be giving him instruction on what to do next. They were supposed to have supplies here. This was supposed to be a safe place to bring survivors, etc.
Do you have? I'm going to ask the lady. Do you have some way for us to track the psychic anomaly?
What do you mean track it? You already know where it is.
Well, we know where it is, but we don't like if the Widdershins won't take us, then we're gonna have to get there our own selves. We have a boat somewhere.
It's somewhere out there.
We have a boat, and maybe we could sail there ourselves.
I mean, you already know
And
the
yeah.
location where it is. Like finding it again won't be. It'll be time consuming, but not necessarily difficult.
I mean, if it's I don't know if they. I think if the Widdershin says no, then our best bet is to go for the tunnels or the hole, because, like,
So the captain does say no up front. The question was, what do you do to convince him otherwise? Like, what's your argument?
Look, you can keep sailing out here, but I have a bad feeling you're going to keep finding more places like this that need supplies rather than have them for you. I think the only option is to take the only people that we're aware of down here that can maybe do something about it and go to the source and solve it.
He asks you if you do manage to find the source of the problem that was causing issues on your city up in the Softlands, and you manage to fix it, if you would be able to get supplies for his ship and her tower and whatever other little bastions of civilization might still be clinging to the rocks, if Dunfoss would be in a position to offer assistance.
They're in pretty bad too right now, but I think we solve the immediate problem and the king bends the will of everyone at his command. Maybe.
We have that ear. We have that king's ear.
How
Hey,
about
also, there's an entire cartographers guild up there that helped me build the cockatrice, so they could actually send more ships like that down.
Cockatoo?
Cockatoo.
Cockatrice is the submersible version he has already designed
Now,
in the back of his head.
to be clear, the city of Dunfoss was in bad shape because of the damage done because of the population, but there are miles of surrounding land where farmland and thing that's
Right.
perfectly good condition.
Yeah.
So I think what we do is we make a report with we make a report same way we did before. We report back, and then we say that we have identified the culprit. It's a necromancer who is at least using the name of a previous king and is very likely to actually be the previous king. And that to secure passage, we need to all we gotta do is promise some relief aid from Dunfoss.
So you're doing this via message, or are you going to climb back up the hole?
Well, we did it with Dream
I have
last time.
I have the magic of dream. It
Okay.
would be a matter of who do we put this request? Do we put this to do we put this to King Ten Sails directly, or do we put this through an intermediary?
I think that something like this, two reasons. One of them in character, one of them out of character. The in character reason Gus is going to give is, nobody has the authority to do this but Ten Sails.
Yeah.
In an expedient manner, like we need a yes or no answer right now.
Mm-hmm.
The out of character reason is I think it will be hilarious.
I mean, Connor was going to say 10 sails because this is his mess.
This is decidedly not Ten Sails' mess, I think.
Oh,
This
it
is-
totally isn't, but that's what Connor's saying.
You inherit the crown, you inherit all of its problems as well as all of its authority.
He didn't cause the mess, but it is his responsibility to fix.
Right. no, that's fair. So I think we need a yay or nay answer like quickly, and we need. And there's a giant hole. There's a giant hole, there's a whole like Artificers Guild and cartographers, and they can design a way to parachute supplies down through the giant hole into the Underdark.
Can you cast Dream on someone else?
Yes.
Hook me up with Mad
None
Metal.
of them, I believe.
I think we established last time you can. I mean,
I'm pretty sure I've met his father before.
No, I'm just saying. While you're talking to the king, I'd like to talk to Mad Metal to get Blue Worm to start getting their artificers together, send a group out to start building these supply drops.
Let's see. I can only do one at a time, and it's it's an 8-hour spell.
Okay.
I mean, you can do this
Well,
over
I
the
mean-
course of 2 days, though. Like,
Well, I mean, it's casting time 1 minute. I could do it.
it's
it
not
concentration spell?
No, it's not concentration. So I could slap a dream on Alexander and then slap a dream on myself.
Yep.
so one of you is contacting 10 Sales. Who's doing it?
I guess that's me.
Lucius.
I love Inception.
Gotta go deeper.
Bomb.
What do you make the dream look like? What is the setting of your conversation with King 10 Sales?
The deck of the ship, the deck of his ship, the Whistler.
The deck
Conditions
of the
are
Whistler?
the same. Wait, no. Strike that. Strike that.
Say the shit.
That's a bad call. I realized it when I was starting to say it. I was like, oh, right. Fuck.
Non-cipher bonus.
Yeah.
I think we would discuss this because we know how the spell works, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I think you should do is just do his office with the gaudy pirate theme.
Where does he? What is the final location that he's trying to go to?
He's
Like
trying
that-
to reach an unknown continent that is uncharted and surrounded by magic. And he's managed to locate it, and you guys have given him maps that you saw from outer space.
That's a statement.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something like that. Freak him out a little bit. But if it could be anything, then
Oh, you know what? Take him to space. Take him so he can look out. It could
Oh,
be
there you
anything
go.
you've seen, right?
Yeah.
So he could see the
Be
Earth.
lucid in the dream, so I can.
So the inside of Startmeyer's tower rocket ship.
Yeah.
Sure.
that's way crazier than anything I was proposing. I love it.
Here's 10 Sales' position, his starting
Mhm.
position. He wants this problem solved now. He is losing control over, like, things are slipping badly in the city because at this point, people are still climbing down into the harbor and throwing themselves into this hole. And there's a lot of factioning in the city right now. All the various magic schools and temples have different ideas about what's happening and how best to solve it. And even some of his own men are starting to faction off as well. So he is 100% in favor of solving this psychic resonance problem. He doesn't see how using the resources that he has to organize people to pack up provisions and goods and start chucking them into this big hole is going to solve anything.
Yeah.
So what do you
Well-
want 10 Sales to do for you?
Ideally, that's what I want him to do, is to look at it this way. If he can keep the people focused on one thing, then they will be less preoccupied with this other thing. Maybe? I'm not.
I mean,
I'm not explaining myself very well.
he has to sell this to the guild halls and temples. Why are we in Dunfoss? Why are we packing up resources and throwing them into this big hole that people are dying at every day? What is this going to accomplish? How is this going to help you?
Lucius is a smarter man than I. Honestly, so I honestly have no clue what the answer to that question would be.
I mean, they requested it as payment. Like, this is the payment they requested for the assistance to take us.
Sure.
to
Make a persuasion check.
Yeah.
Charisma persuasion.
Charisma persuasion. I don't think Lucius is very good at that.
I hope not.
22.
Does Lucius give the king his personal guarantee that this will result in an end to this psychic resonance so he can focus on building a new flagship and pursuing his goals to find this lost continent?
Yes. This is one piece of a larger puzzle.
What do you tell him about the nature of the people you're working with down here?
Lucius is going to play up the crew of the God, I can't think of it. I can't think of the name of the ship that we've been tooling around here.
Widdershins.
The Widdershins. Lucius is gonna play up the crew of the Widdershins. They're brave. They're cool under pressure. They know exactly the nature of the threats that we face. Lucius is very much lying by omission that these people are
Okay.
are the waiting staff on a pleasure barge, but Lucius is very much lying by omission here.
If you give the king your word that loosing these provisions, and I assume like you and Alex have worked out some manner of like they should crate it up in a certain way and drop it down with a parachute so it floats down and is buoyant and can be recovered.
Mad Metal and I are going to try and devise a system that's self-correcting, where when it gets too close to the one side of the waterfall, the weight of the extra water on that side corrects it to go back towards the center. That's why I'm conversing with Mad Metal. He's the most accomplished artificer I know in anywhere in that region.
We'll come back to Mad Metal in just a second.
Yeah.
So the king agrees under two conditions, Lucius. One, you've given him your you've given him your word that this problem will be solved shortly.
Yeah.
And second, once you guys return to Dunfoss, he wants your assistance in his escapade to locate and exploit this lost continent. If you're powerful enough to go down into the Underdark and broker terms of engagement with like deep gnome pirates and then destroy these psionic beasts and end this reign of terror from this dead king, you're definitely exactly the man he needs when it comes time to going out and exploring and exploiting the resources and secrets of this lost continent.
Sure. That's a thing that's going to happen.
Alex.
Yep.
The recipient of the dream cannot end it, can he?
No.
Okay. You and Mad Metal can spend as much time as you want hashing out like a delivery system, but he's willing to do you one better because he lives in Blue Worm. And Blue Worm has strong connections with the gnomish kingdom of Deep Murksif. That's very far away from your position in the Underdark, But if you pass along the information, they might be able to and have incentive to start a recovery effort from their side. Which means-
Well, I already told my father to send aid to Dunfoss instead, but if we can also get the religion, they're ruled by the high priest, right?
in Blue Worm?
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh.
The city is kind of just run by wealth. There's not
Okay.
actually a single political leader.
If we can burn this bitch from both ends, then yes.
So
Well,
what
absolutely.
he might be able to do is, because the line of Wilgum the Bald is still strong in that area, and they might be able to send out actual personnel, build ships on wherever the coast of this new ocean has lined up, and start expeditions.
What's Mad Metal's rival / sex friend?
I don't recall her name.
Oh, okay. Here's what I want Mad Metal to do. I want him to help the gnomes do that, and I want her to head to Dunfoss and help them build these dropships.
Make a persuasion check at disadvantage.
You got it.
Oh no.
Let's go ahead and spend all, 4 blips for a reroll or auto success?
4 blips is an auto success.
No, I don't need blips.
No, nobody needs blips. Blips are over. So
My gun can explode, it's fine.
this is a big ask because they're not actually talking at the moment because of
Yeah.
reasons.
I am very intimately aware of these reasons. Let's move past that and get to the part where she builds dropships.
But if the need is great, what is Flumph Inc. offering as payment? Because she won't be doing this for free.
I mean, she's doing it for the crown, so our payment is whatever you feel the crown would be authorized. Whatever they paid you for those anti-undead sprayers, I'm sure this is going to be just as good a contract.
Now, you're sure it's going to be just as good, or it will be just as good? I speak with the king's voice, which
Yeah, talk with Journey. Get into the city, talk with Journey. She'll get the actual terms, but yes, it should be on par.
Okay, he will pass the instruction along that she gets the notice. And then he's going to use other contacts in Blue Worm to try to mobilize personnel from Deep Murksif. How many days do you guys take before you start? I mean, because the kind of thing you're organizing up top, like just for her to travel to Dunfoss is going to take several days alone. And traveling by ship is much more dangerous right now. So how many days are you guys spending here kind of recuperating in the tower before you pick a direction and head off in that to your next destination?
Destil said he's going to take his dog out. So I figure we want to recuperate. We want to be at our fittest. And we want to leave this tower at least in a state where if something else comes to visit it, it at least has a fighting chance, yeah.
They have 2 men-at-arms, and even healthy, you have a wizard that will not be able to use her most powerful spells in a tower that is not defensible.
Right.
So if your priority is to defend this tower, then you're staying here until it's made defensible, which might take a very long time.
Yeah, as I said, it'd probably take months, right?
Yeah, something in that.
Because you're looking at earliest a number of weeks before these provisions start arriving from either direction.
Well,
Right.
we need to get I think we like maybe 2-3 days to make sure we have like all our hit die back and stuff. Rest, recuperate, and then quote unquote plan. But
Okay.
we need to get over there as quick as possible so the Widdershins can drop us off and then be back to start picking up the supplies.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that this will give us time to kind of hash out, like we can discuss with the captain and the lady about like logistical problems, you know, things like, you know, like, because that we'll have time to cast additional dreams if we need to and make additional
Arrangements.
arrangements and things like that. So we like like stuff that comes up, like how do they, how do they wait for getting words that Mad Metal's sex friend is actually going to come. Like so we don't have to fight. Stuff like just little stuff. I think we need to leave time for that, but also we need to get going as soon as possible.
So 2-3 days.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 days.
All right.
Seems fair.
We'll go ahead and
then,
take a break here then. We'll take 15 minutes. Go get your coffee, get your bagel.